So thanks once again for dropping by the channel. If you like the content, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, share the video if you enjoyed it, if you felt it was useful. Now let's get into this. So today it's been announced that this weekend's Queensberry promotion show, which is going to have the names like Archie Sharp, Mike Conlon, Carl Frampton. Carl Frampton's original opponent pulled out, something to do with a visa. So they announced today who his opponent is. I think the guy's name is David, is it Taylor or something like that. It was a guy I've not really heard of. So I looked him up on BoxRec, had a little look at him. This is an area level fighter, people. Literally, this is an area level fighter who's going to be fighting Carl Frampton. Carl Frampton's next fight will likely be against Jamal Herring for a world title in a third weight class. He's fighting an area level fighter. To put this in context, I was very critical of Eddie Hearn for putting that Adam Harper guy in there with Anthony Fowler last weekend, because you'd Anthony Fowler, a British level fighter, beating up an area level fighter. This is Carl Frampton, a world level fighter, in there against an area level fighter. And people look at Frank Warren, and there are people out there who wonder why his promotional company is the way it is. That he is getting fighters like Carl Frampton, fighters like Michael Conlon, although Michael Conlon is nothing to write home about, but still, he's not a bad prospect. I wouldn't say he's going to do much, but he's not a bad prospect. He's putting them on these shows against grossly overmatched opponents. The guy Conlon's fighting, he fought Josh Warrington and was knocked out in 2 rounds. That's still better than what we're getting from Frampton. I mean, the first opponent wasn't much great shakes, but this is just silly. And it's just the same old. I mean, the quality of the Queensberry shows prior to boxing being put on behind closed doors was not great. It's fair to say it wasn't great. The MTK shows that are on IFL, a lot of them had better quality than some of the shows that Frank Warren's been putting on. And this is pre-lockdown. Since he's been doing those shows in the BT studio, Jesus, people, they've been horrific. Let me put this in context. Dubois versus Joyce. Now, Dubois has to get by that Pfeiffer guy the end of the month, which most people would expect him to. He is penciled in to face Joe Joyce in October in the O2. Frank Warren has publicly said that if there is no fans in there, it will get pushed back. As it may be a case of Frank Warren pushing a fight that was originally meant to take place in April of this year. This fight may not take place till April next year, having been announced the year before. Yes, you got to obviously take into consideration what's going on in the world, but seriously, people, Eddie Hearn is putting pay-per-view fights on in his backyard with no fans. That just shows the state Queensberry's in. I mean, something needs to change that promotional company. Frank has built some good fighters over the last few years. Anthony Yarde, Daniel Dubois. But they really are diamonds in the rough. And Anthony Yarde wasn't even an accomplished amateur. Dubois, he done a little bit. I don't think he's done much at senior level as an amateur, but he was decent at some stage. But he never went to the Olympics or anything like that. Well, that's it really. I mean, who else does he have really that's up and coming? You got Dennis McCann, who's a decent prospect. He's got no one. The fighters that he had, who were somewhat decent names, like a Billy Joe Saunders, people like that, they've jumped ship to match him. Josh Warrington, again, another big ticket, he jumped ship. When Tyson Fury announced his comeback with Frank Warren, I remember BT doing a segment where it was all these, Queensberry fighters. You had Josh Warrington, you had Billy Joe Saunders, Carl Frampton, I think Daniel Dubois in the yard. They're all sat by a table, and it's not looking like a bad little setup. And you look now, and that table is just shrinking by the day. And lest we not forget that although Tyson Fury is still there, although Carl Frampton's still there, they are essentially being co-promoted by Bob Arum and Top Rank. So they're not even full Queensberry fighters. I think Frank Warren has a massive problem. I think the problem has been there for several years, but I think since lockdown it's been exasperated exponentially. I think that Frank Warren, he needs to really look at what's going on with Queensberry and see what can be done, because I could see a scenario where if there's no big fights being made, if BT aren't happy with the quality of their shows, if BT aren't getting their pay-per-view platform up and running, I can easily see BT Sports saying, if IFL, or not IFL, if MTK alone, and I think the guy's name is Lee Easton who promotes their shows, if they can do a better job, why not? Why don't we have them on BT Sports instead? I could see a situation like that. I mean, I think that we need promoters like Frank Warren in boxing. You know, I mean, not in terms of some of the things he's done, but in terms of giving other fighters a platform, an option. You know, if they can't get on the Matchroom, well, they can go here rather than going to Mick Hennessy or one of these other, you know, small time guys. At least you have someone there. But the quality of his show is the way it's been. I mean, like it just doesn't bode well. It doesn't bode well for longevity. And as I said, like Eddie Hearn could do pay-per-views in his backyard. Frank Warren, he needs fans. He needs fans. And yes, you could argue that Dylan White is more well known than Daniel Dubois, so obviously it would generate bigger sales and pay-per-views. I get that. But he's not crazy well known. Like, he's known in the UK, but would he be a household name? Yeah, no, I don't think he is. You know, a big name, but he's not up to the level of a Fury or a Joshua or anything like that. No. So, you know, it's an interesting one. Let me know your thoughts on this. I want to know what you think of good old Mr. Fish Eyes and his promotional company, and let me know what you think is going to happen with Queensberry. Are you happy with what's been going on with everything behind the scenes? Like, I want to say behind the scenes, I mean with everything that's been going on with fighters, you know, being put in grossly overmatched fights. Like this card, I will cover this card on Saturday, but god damn people, I'm going to give my honest opinion, as I always do on this channel, and I'm going to reserve judgment until after the card. And then if it is the card that I think it will be, then I'll be going in hard on Frank Warren Sunday morning. Best believe that. But let me know your thoughts for the time being now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe. Of course, if you guys are new to the channel, appreciate it all. And as always, people, I will talk to you.